So the BBC is currently under attack, by Donald Trump no less, in an assault that some commentators have referred to as existential.
The BBC is facing its biggest crisis in decades.
And I think there'll be some people who largely get their news and commentary on the internet who will want to view this with glee. The BBC, after all, gets a lot wrong. In fact, one of the reasons that it is currently in such strife at the moment is that it is far less independent than it sometimes would like to suggest that it is. I think there is sometimes a belief, particularly amongst younger people maybe, that the world of large media organisations, whether that's the BBC or The Guardian or the New York Times, whatever it might be, is over, and that we can do a much better job with influencers, content creators, independent journalists, whatever people want to call themselves instead. And perhaps when it comes to commentary, that is absolutely the case. But the more that I've done this job, the clearer it's become that I don't think that is the case when it comes to doing really good news reporting. It's not only that news influencers, politics influencers, whatever, do seem to be more susceptible to going down far-right rabbit holes. It's also just that even with the best will in the world, it's far harder to do this job well without a big infrastructure behind you. Large media organizations benefit from having a lot of shared expertise that can be passed around, collaborators in the form of sub-editors and editors. But the really vital thing that I think that large organizations in the media do well that you're never really going to be able to replicate in a kind of creative ecosystem is that ability to be a large institution which politicians kind of have to respond to, have to sit down for interviews with. I've been really lucky in doing this job to be able to interview some really fantastic people for videos on different topics, but I'm always aware that the government department, whatever the thing is that we're talking about in a given month, very much doesn't have to get back to my emails in a way that they do to the BBC or The Guardian or The Telegraph or whoever it is. And I think one of the real dangers in a world where institutions like that don't exist is that we instead end up with a media space which is largely PR, in which politicians and large companies or whoever it may be are able to really pick and choose who they speak to and also use the leverage of knowing that they have that choice to ensure that any interviews that they sit down with for are very much softball interviews with really clear boundaries about what is and isn't allowed to be asked. None of this means that I think the BBC gets everything right, or that I'm particularly a strong BBC defender, and yet without something with that kind of gravitas, I don't think we're going to be in a better place.